This week, the market starts to correct a bit, and XRP is on the front of the news around some of the strategic things that they're doing to possibly maybe take this token up again. We'll break it all down for you. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. All right, before we get started, I want to thank our sponsor, and that is GoMining, who offers a new way of earning Bitcoin by buying NFTs that represent a share in real mining equipment, a specific amount of mining power. All of this, of course, you don't have to deal with huge miners, generate a lot of noise and problems. This, of course, gets you to where you can start receiving rewards 24 hours after purchasing and will continue to get payments daily. They do this through 9 data centers, so make sure and check out GoMining. And of course, you can do that just by going to gmt.io. All right, so let's get started today. Take a quick look at XRP. Of course, starting to go a little bit positive here in sentiment. Also, you'll see a little bit of the money flow starting to go back into the positive. If you kind of zoom in on our sentiment on the overall trade sentiment for our MSI, 65 currently, volume sentiment holding at 61, and overall average 55. That's up significantly on XRP, so the likelihood of this taking off a little bit more could be in the cards. We'll take a look at some of the reasons why. I want to get into a couple of things. This SEC note right here is the Sunshine Act notice. This is going to be happening on the 18th of July. Couple of the things that they're going to be talking about right there: institution and settlement of injunctive actions, these the things that are going on right now with Ripple, injunctive and settlement of administrative proceedings also, and then also the resolution of litigation claims. So it's possible that we could get maybe this case just dropped by the SEC. If that happens, July 18th is what I'm watching for, as this could be the date to possibly see some movement. If you look at some other analysis on XRP as a whole, you can kind of see the breakout here all the way up to above 60 cents, which is kind of that resistance line around 62. So this could be the time in which XRP gets a little bit of movement overall. Further on X right here, all eyes on XRP right now. Staking pools are now live on Bitrue. And remember that this is still a large percentage. Existing users can earn up to 7% on their 7-day lock, 50% APY on some of these staking pools. Could be another area that plays into a positive indicator here for XRP. Brad Garlinghouse comes out and says first step towards institutional crypto products to have a trusted benchmark reference rate. Nice to see the CME group. So this is coming on the CBOE, or excuse me, the CME, which is all talking about July 29th, benefiting from what's happening right now on the situation there. So I think this is, I don't know, this is where I think we have to take a look at XRP as a whole, some of the strategic moves that they continue to make. And remember that summer months typically is when some of these projects are really building, because they have these fall events. We'll talk about that in a second. And I think theirs is going to be back in October, back here in Miami. We'll take a look. But that could be leading up to some very big statements for XRP and big releases. Obviously, we've already seen quite a bit around their stable token. Crunchbase, of course, updated Ripple investment exits, and a couple of the points that they hit on. Remember, Bitstamp was an exit, probably due to the Robinhood acquisition, but you also could kind of see there were some other things they exited out of, including MoneyGram and Tranglo. So are they prepping for what could be a very interesting time? And remember, Robinhood buys Bitstamp. This was a $200 million deal. It was a bit of a surprise. So how is this all connected? And is this connected? I think when you look at some of the strategic things that are playing out, it could get pretty interesting, including a possible listing right here, rumors of a relisting on XRP over on Robinhood. This could happen as early as next month in August. I think that would be another huge move on XRP. Further out here, I want to talk about a couple of things. And this one right here is, they're talking about this MakerDAO move. And this is announcing their Spark tokenization Grand Prix. What this simply means is there's an objective to onboard up to 1 billion of tokenized assets with potential of more. All right, so why are they doing this? Let's just dive into it. Here's MakerDAO, obviously with their profitability on ETH, holding at about 54 million right there, considerable in comparison to some of the others out there that are holding in profitability. You look at that, and then this right here, MakerDAO is now earning 80% of its fees and revenue from, guess what? Real world assets. Taking a look at real world assets, and I'll kind of paint this together here. So when you look at this, Securitize holding the #1 spot right there on market cap, 524 million, up 13% just over the 30-day. Lots happening here. I want to go to a clip real quick because this will get into a little bit more detail on what Larry Fink thinks around where this market could be going. Take a look.
You have made it so that people can be in Bitcoin. We hear that you are thinking about Ethereum.
There's a real need for everyone to look at it as one alternative to, I would say, the optimism that I have in the world. If you want to hedge hope, Bitcoin is not an instrument for hope unless you're hopeful you're going to make a lot of money on it. But I look at it as a vehicle in which you're expressing your financial acumen in something that you're more frightened of the world, you're more frightened of your existence. We need to create hope, and that's what we are here for, to bring hope, to provide a better future. We need to have conversations about the opportunity and the positives. We have that opportunity. At BlackRock, we had an amazing quarter where we had the biggest quarter in our history of $150 billion of flows in ETFs. No other quarter ever, $150 billion of flows. We have $2 trillion more in assets today than we did a year ago, and the same amount of employees. Okay, $2 trillion more in assets, the same amount of employees. That is technology at work.
Yeah, so you can see the excitement there in Fink's voice and his actions. And remember, BUIDL tied to ETH, tied to BlackRock, all of this is what he's talking about. Did he actually say that Ethereum is hope? Is that the potential token of that going forward? Here's Carlos Domingo, who is the CEO of Securitize, talking about great move by MakerDAO. We'll be there supporting this initiative with BlackRock's BUIDL, so largest tokenized treasury fund and one that received the largest allocation from recent. This is just the beginning, I think, of where these types of tokenized treasuries are going to be going. So one thing you have to consider is, remember, because a lot of this is still tied to high interest rates. Obviously, if we start to see interest rates get cut, that could change the landscape for a lot of these types of scenarios. Carlos Domingo talks about that in this clip and breaks it down a little bit more. Take a look.
A lot of people are considering the prospect of a rate cut as early as September, the market increasingly believing so. How do you think that will impact the product? Do you worry that we are kind of looking at a boom time here, but facing a plateauing later on?
Well, obviously, the money market funds are more attractive when you're in a high interest environment like we are now. I think even if you get a rate cut, you still get a good return. I think it's 5.3 now. So even if it goes down to like 5%, it's still a good return. And it's also a very safe asset class, right? So you're basically investing in treasuries from the US government. So I think a lot of people will continue buying and consuming money market funds, even if interest rates go down. And then what I think will happen is that the next kind of natural asset classes that give you a higher yield and that are still, safe, like, private credit and other type of funds will kind of emerge and start growing from there.
All right, so it's a nice clip. This gets into a little bit more about that, what Carlos was kind of talking about. There's a lot more other projects out there that potentially could still be a very big part of the growth of what we'll see in terms of tokenized securities. And further into that, you look at where Ripple is currently and what their achievements have been in a very short period of time compared to even some of the other projects out there. This clip will give you a little bit further insight to just how far ahead they are. Take a look.
The public blockchain that we use is called the XRP ledger. The XRP ledger technology is proven. It has been processing billions of transactions, but central banks like to have things a little bit more private. So we have created a private version. One of the distinctions about it is there's looking at tokenizing bonds. There's a payroll element to the pilot, and then there's an offline element. So this is when you have your mobile phone, if you have no internet connection, you can still make purchases. So the thing I like about the project here is it's quite a wide range of use cases. Many of the pilots you see in the press and the media are more basic. They're just what I would call a proof of concept as opposed to a pilot. So, and that's one of the things that we were excited about working with the National Bank here is they have a vision to go beyond experimentation. We recently did a project in Hong Kong with the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, which is the central bank in Hong Kong, to tokenize real estate. So people have a property, you can tokenize that and represent that on the blockchain. And then in this particular project, people were able to release capital from their property. If there was $100,000 worth of equity at the house, the bank was able to pre-approve how much of that could be borrowed. And then when the individual says, yes, I want to apply for this, it all sort of happened automatically.
All right, so I think this is getting to the point where a lot of financial institutions, they're prepping for what everybody knows is coming, that is a reduction of rates. This will play into a lot of this, and I think as you see where Ripple is today, you have to look at this tweet right here, and that is Ripple's stablecoin, USD stablecoin backed, offering transparency, stability, all that's coming available. So all of this aligned with MiCA, all of this aligned with potentially stablecoin regulation here in the US. And remember, Tether also plays a big part of this. I want to go to another clip because this is Monica Long, and she's talking about that, why the stablecoin will succeed. Take a look.
It's almost a no-brainer, right? Tether's printing, well, not printing in that sense, but is making billions of dollars. How does Ripple get a piece of that?
It's a big pie. What is it? Market cap of USD stables right now is like $160 billion. And the projections we've seen are close to $3 trillion within the next, 3 to 5 years. Key to success of a stablecoin is how are the reserves managed? We went about acquiring a company, Standard Custody, earlier this year. Standard Custody has the very coveted New York Trust license, which so that means they're regulated by New York DFS. Lots of eyes on Europe right now in that way. That's all going to be critical to make or break the success of a stablecoin, I think. We have noticed more large institutions, standing up straighter and leaning in more to tokenizing securities and bonds, et cetera, as they following the lead of players like BlackRock and Franklin Templeton.
This is important because as you see the growth of where not only tokenized securities are going to play into this, but stablecoins, the liquidity that is going to be needed in the market, and you look at MiCA as being one of the driving forces, possibly the blueprint for the United States at some point, because there will be a lot of involvement. Okay, let's take a look quick at this tweet, because this is where it gets interesting, because this is MiCA enforcement, stablecoin approaches. Next Monday onwards, you're going to see a lot of the EU now delisting what's happening on Tether, including, guess what, Bitstamp already delisted. Back to the Robinhood acquisition. Is this something that maybe Robinhood is making way for an XRP or a Ripple stablecoin playing into this? Because remember, Tether still large percentage of the market share overall. If you look at the current status in terms of market cap, next up would be USDC, of course, but I think this is could be a huge opportunity for what's going to happen with the Ripple stable token. One other thing, here's 21 shares. This, of course, shows a little bit of a breakdown of their composite of their basket index, and within that, you've got XRP, of course, wrapped in there, a large percentage. I think it's the number 3 position. And furthermore into that, you also see the connectivity to Onyx, all tied into maybe the future of around institutional assets and how all this plays in. So you start to see the players come together here into some pretty, I think, intriguing scenarios overall. If you look at where 21 shares is right now in terms of their current token breakdown, Bitcoin, of course, number 1, but the number 2 asset right there, XRP, holding in. Just look and zoom in on that. So there's a lot that I think is coiling up for a huge, successful, not only summer, but maybe 2025 being one of the biggest years for Ripple, maybe even XRP, as we start to see so many of these things start to happen. I think a lot of this will be revealed at their Swell event, which is happening in Miami here in 2024. This comes in on October 15th and 16th, so right there at the FANA Forum. So check that out if you are a big XRP person. This could be huge, guys. We're going to be keeping a close eye on XRP and what's happening with the token, but also just in general, because tokenized assets and especially tokenized securities are, I think, going to start to set a new tone for the financial markets as a whole in a positive way, especially for blockchain projects. So make sure and hit the like button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. Make sure and do that as well. If you're not in the Diamond Circle, get in that right now. It's a great private group that gets communication from us, additional content, all sorts of goodies. So make sure and use the link down below. And of course, if you guys want to reach me out there on X, it's @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.